Joss discovers Dalton's terrible secret before Dalton dies. ABC General Hospital spoilers. Port Charles had seen tragedies before, but nothing prepared the town for the storm that was coming. The air felt heavier than usual, thick clouds hanging low over the skyline as if the weather itself anticipated catastrophe. Jocelyn Jacks felt it too. She had spent the day avoiding her mother, Carly, who continued pushing her to focus on school, despite Joss's obvious distracted state. But school was the last thing on her mind. Instead, she had spent hours thinking about Dalton Westlake, mysterious, quiet, handsome Dalton, the man who had unexpectedly entered her life only months ago and stirred up emotions she hadn't been ready for. Dalton wasn't like the others. That alone made Carly suspicious. But it wasn't Carly's warnings that unsettled Joss. It was something else, something darker. Dalton was hiding something. And Joss was about to discover a truth so terrible it would change everything, before fate took Dalton from her forever. Dalton had always kept to the edges. He didn't share where he lived, didn't talk about his family, and didn't allow anyone close enough to ask real questions. He had a way of looking at people that made them feel examined but safe at the same time. Joss found that intoxicating. But his charm wasn't the problem. His silence was. People whispered about him, how he always paid in cash, how he seemed to appear in Port Charles without a past, how he occasionally looked over his shoulder as if someone, or something, was hunting him. Joss ignored the signs at first. She told herself Dalton was just private. But last night, something snapped. Dalton showed up at the Metro Court garage with blood on his shirt. Not a lot, but enough. When she asked what happened, he took her hand, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Don't ask. Please." Then he disappeared into the shadows. It was that moment Joss realized she was done staying quiet. The next morning, as Joss rushed into Kelly's diner hoping to find Trina for advice, she found herself face to face with someone else, someone who always noticed everything. Dante Falconeri. "Joss," Dante said, eyes narrowing. "You look like you didn't sleep. Something going on?" Joss hesitated. Telling Dante would mean trouble for Dalton. But not telling him could mean danger. For her, for Dalton, or both. "I'm fine," she said. "Just tired." Dante studied her carefully. "Be careful who you trust," he warned. "A lot of strange activity around town lately. And some of it involves a guy matching your friend's description." Joss froze. "What kind of activity?" Dante shook his head. "Not sure yet. But if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Tell me if you need help." Joss nodded, but her heart raced. Dante didn't know her secret, but he suspected enough. And she couldn't let anyone arrest Dalton. Not yet. Not before she knew the truth. That evening, Joss drove to the abandoned warehouse area near the harbor, the last place she'd seen Dalton. The area was quiet, but she spotted something near the edge of the loading dock. A folded piece of paper. Her name was written on it. Her heart pounded as she unfolded the note. "Joss, if you ever want to know the truth, follow the coordinates below. Come alone. DW. Coordinates? Who leaves coordinates? Who is Dalton Westlake?" Before she could question anything further, her phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Someone you care about is in danger. Don't trust Dalton. Don't follow him." The message came with a second attachment. A photo. Dalton, standing beside a man Joss recognized from the news, Rico Vale, a notorious arms trafficker recently rumored to be in Port Charles. "Oh my God," she whispered. She didn't want to believe it. Dalton, gentle, quiet, protective Dalton, working with a criminal? It didn't make sense. But Joss needed answers. And she was going to get them. Following the coordinates led Joss into the woods outside Port Charles near a deserted cabin. The sky had already darkened, a cold wind rattling branches overhead. Her footsteps crunched on fallen leaves as she approached the cabin. The door was ajar. Light flickered inside. She stepped in. The cabin was empty except for a single table with documents laid across it, photographs, maps, lists of transactions. And in the center, a file marked Project Raven. Joss frowned. "What the hell is this?" Suddenly, a voice behind her. "Joss, you shouldn't be here." She spun around. Dalton. Eyes haunted. Clothes dirty. A bruise forming on his jaw. She didn't know whether to run to him or run away. "What is all this?" she demanded. "Why did someone send me a picture of you with Rico Vale?" Dalton exhaled, shoulders heavy. "Because I wasn't honest with you." "No kidding." Joss snapped. Dalton, who are you? He looked at her as if preparing for the world to end. And then he told her everything. Dalton wasn't an ordinary man. He wasn't a tourist. He wasn't a drifter. He wasn't a criminal. He was something far more dangerous. I'm a plant, Dalton confessed quietly. A deep cover operative. The WSB recruited me 6 years ago. But they are not the ones I answer to anymore. Then who? Just demanded. Dalton's jaw tightened. Project Raven. A classified operation that went wrong. The program was created to infiltrate high-level international trafficking networks. We were supposed to gather intel and then dismantle them from the inside. Just tried to process. You worked for the government. Dalton nodded. Used to. But the program was corrupted from the inside. Some agents joined the criminals instead of stopping them. I figured it out too late. So I ran. Just felt the world tilt. So the photo, Rico Vale. I was undercover, Dalton insisted. That photo was taken 3 years ago. Rico thinks I'm one of his lieutenants. The WSB thinks I'm a traitor. And the people behind Project Raven want me dead because I know too much. Just covered her mouth. Dalton, why didn't you tell me? Because the moment you knew the truth, you'd be in danger. And the moment they realized I cared about you, his voice cracked, you'd be their target. Just felt tears sting her eyes. Dalton, I could have helped you. You already did, he whispered. You made me feel human again. Before she could respond, a loud noise cracked the air. A gunshot. Dalton shoved her to the floor. Stay down. Shadows moved outside the cabin. Footsteps. Voices. They are here, Dalton said, checking his weapon. Just listen to me. No matter what happens, you need to run. I'm not leaving you, she cried. You have to. They want me. Not you. Another gunshot shattered the window. Dalton grabbed her face, eyes fierce and full of something that terrified her. Finality. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Then he pushed her toward the back door just as the cabin walls exploded inward. Men in black tactical gear flooded in. Dalton fired back, shouting, Go, Joss. She ran. Branches whipped her arms as she sprinted into the woods. Behind her, gunfire echoed like thunder. She wanted to turn back. She wanted to help him. But she couldn't. She couldn't. And then, everything went silent. Followed by one final gunshot. A single, chilling, unmistakable sound. The kind of gunshot that ends a life. Dante arrived at the cabin minutes later after receiving a 911 call from an unknown source. He found Joss trembling on the ground, covered in dirt, sobbing uncontrollably. Joss, what happened? Where's Dalton? She tried to speak but couldn't. Dante gently helped her to her feet and guided her back toward the clearing. There, under the cold moonlight, lay a body. Dalton. Shot once in the chest. Eyes open. Blood spreading across fallen leaves. Still. No, Joss whispered, falling to her knees. No. Please, Dalton, wake up. Please. Dante checked for a pulse. Nothing. He placed a hand on Joss's shoulder. I'm sorry. Joss screamed, a heartbroken, devastating sound that echoed through the trees. Her grief tore something inside her, a tearing realization that the man she cared for, the man who had protected her, had died because of a secret he never wanted her to learn. Back in Port Charles, chaos erupted. The WSB denied involvement. The PCPD found no leads. And the anonymous message that warned Joss? Deleted. Untraceable. Trina, Carly, Sonny, and even Anna Devane circled around Joss, trying to help her heal, but she felt numb, broken. All she had left was the file she grabbed before the attack. Project Raven. Dalton died to protect that secret. And now Joss held it. She read the final page of Dalton's file, tears dripping onto the paper. It contained a final written note. If anything happens to me, tell them the truth. Project Raven isn't dead. It's here in Port Charles. And someone you trust is part of it. DW. Joss felt her blood run cold. Someone she trusted? Someone in Port Charles? She looked up through tears, clutching the file to her chest. Dalton may be gone, but his fight wasn't over. And Jocelyn Jacks, fierce, stubborn, determined, was going to finish what he started. No matter the cost. Dalton's funeral gathered a surprisingly large crowd for a man no one really knew. But someone watched from afar. A man with a scar across his temple, hidden behind a tree, smirking. He spoke into a burner phone. She has the file. Good. Everything is moving as planned. The voice on the other end asked, "Do we proceed?" The man chuckled. "Oh, absolutely. Dalton may be dead, but Phase 2 begins with Jocelyn." He hung up and walked away.